everybody who plays Batman Arkham Asylum just simply loves the game. I don't think I've ever met somebody who does not like this game. And especially nowadays, almost 15 years after the game's come out. Yeah, let that settle in for a second. We're all getting old, and we just need to accept it. Hell, I mean, for a 2009 game, it was top of the line. And today we are here to talk about just things that Arkham Asylum did very well. And I don't necessarily want to go on too much about how, for its time, it was very good, because that kind of seems like a bit of a cop-out to say, well, this is 2009 standards. No, I'm talking as if someone was to open this game for the first time today and play it for the first time today, and they have no idea that this game was made almost 15 years ago. I kind of want to hold this game by today's standards because of how much we love it, right? And so, I don't necessarily have a script here. I don't have a list of a bunch of things. I'm probably not going to list every single thing that was great about the game. However, I just want to talk about a few points that I thought this game did exceptionally well and kind of almost set the tone for what future games would either do just as good, if not better. The first thing I think this game did exceptionally well was just the simplicity of the game. Now, when I say something like basic, I don't want you guys to think that I mean that in a negative way, because I absolutely do not. In fact, it's actually one of the stronger points that this game has. Now, I'll give you a for instance here. When it comes to Batman Arkham Asylum, I'm guaranteeing you that this was a lot of people's first endeavor into Batman media in general. And so keeping it simplistic with a Batman and Joker game, right? Everybody always hears references about Batman and Joker, but people don't necessarily know just how, important their connection is until they've experienced it. So I think keeping it simple with one main villain, and yes, there are other villains in the game, but if you were to ask somebody who's the main villain in Batman Arkham Asylum, you would definitely say the Joker, right? And I'm getting a little bit off point here, but point being is keeping it basic was one of the game's strong suits, especially because, like I said, this was a lot of people's first endeavor into Batman media. But it's not just basic when it comes to the villains, even like the size of the map, for instance, right? It's a very small map, but it's something that's basic, and someone who's just getting introduced into Batman would find very easy to navigate. It wouldn't really have any problems getting around whatsoever. Even something like the free flow combat system and, the stealth combat and all that stuff, I'm not sitting here saying that stuff's extremely basic, in a bad way. Because it's relatively easy to get down the pattern of press X to strike, press Y to counter, these simple things that you progressively get better at as the game gets harder and harder. And I think that the combat is one of the best things that they got down in this game. And yes, it's probably the worst in terms of out of the Arkham, franchise. It's definitely the worst, but for being the first game, it definitely did what it needed to do. And I think it kind of helped Rocksteady understand where they could improve on future titles. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the overall story. Now, I'm going to make a separate video talking about my gripes with the opening of the game, because I do have some issues with that, but we're keeping it positive here today. So, what I wanted to touch on, just on the overall story, was I kind of like how, as you're playing the game, and you kind of realize Joker's been planning this. Batman even states this at the beginning of the game. And as the game goes on, you slowly start to realize what Joker's wanted this entire time, which is an army of 1,000 Banes, and how he wants to get his hands on this Titan, and this is ultimately what he wants to take over the world and see as much blood and death as humanly possible. It's something that is really, especially, like I said, for its time, was absolutely phenomenally well done by Rocksteady. And this kind of ties in with the story bit, but the Scarecrow sections in this game are very well done because it's something that's different. It's not just something that's based on pure physicality and fists and punching people and that sort of stuff. It's more psychological, and seeing how Jonathan Crane is more of a psychological threat than he is a physical one. And it's something that you don't really think about too much when you're, using Batman and you're beating up all these bad guys and stuff. You kind of more tend to focus on the physical aspects. You gotta physically capture the Joker. You gotta put all these thugs physically into the asylum or into prison or whatever you're looking to do. But with Jonathan Crane, it's more, I need to be able to get past this guy because psychologically, he seems to be able to kind of outdo me in certain aspects. Now, the last thing I really wanted to touch on for this video was actually the graphics itself of this game. Now, as I'm sure 99.9% of you are aware of, the whole remastering thing, and a lot of people seem to think that the graphics kind of look worse than it did in the original. Now, I have both the Xbox Series X or Xbox One version of the game, or whatever you call it, and I also have the PC version. Now, I personally like the PC version more. I just think it looks a little bit more clean. I think that, on the next-gen consoles, it kind of looks a little bit, I don't want to say cartoony, but it looks a little bit more cartoony. And I'm not here to nitpick the graphics, right? For the game itself, and like I said, I want to hold it up to 2023 standards. The graphics still hold up amazingly for 2023 standards. And I mean, when you look at the visuals of this game, when you look at the trees and you look at the way the buildings are designed, it looks extraordinary. And I really have to give Rocksteady a thumbs up on this one. You're going to get a zoned thumbs up on this one. And can I just add that the cape physics in this game are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, I can't remember the exact specifications on this, but there was one dude who spent so much time getting the cape physics down, and that's where the majority of the Arkham Asylum budget went, actually, was towards the cape physics. That guy, you're getting a round of applause from me, my man, because he did absolutely a phenomenal job. Wherever you are to this day, my man, I just wanted to say thank you. Now, I'm sure I didn't touch on every single thing, because if I was to go back and play the game right now and talk about every single thing I liked, I would probably be here for over an hour. But we don't really got time for that. I wanted to touch on the big key points here today, and I think I've done that. And I didn't write out a script or anything. I kind of just went off things off the fly, based off what I remember about the game and such. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what I missed down in the comments below, because I'm sure I missed a lot about this game. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next video on the Arkham franchise will actually be about Arkham City, things it did well, Arkham Origins, things it did well, then Arkham Knight, things it did well. And once I'm done all the things that it done well, then I'm going to move on to things it didn't do so well. But I wanted to start off with positivity, just because it's so easy to be negative, so we're going to try to remain nice and positive. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe for more content. Peace!